when you and I were growing up, for better or worse, there were not these things.
Uh-huh.
All right. These things have had a profound impact on our society, on young people in general. All right. Why don't you say a few words about what social media and the kind of time that young people spend on the phone, what is that doing to mental health?
Well, I think this is the right question because our phones and technology in general has really transformed our life. And some of that has been for the good. You know, when I was growing up, it took several weeks for me to write a letter to my grandparents in India and for them to respond and have it sent back. Now I could FaceTime a relative halfway around the world. It's extraordinary. But I think what we have not accounted for are the downside impacts of not just our phones, but in particular social media. And when we look at young people, I think it's just about the conversations I have with young people about this, Senator. Around the country, when I do roundtables, even without bringing it up, young people raise their hands and they talk about social media. And they often tell me three things consistently. They say it often makes them feel worse about themselves using social media.
Why? Why does it make them feel
because they
worse?
constantly see other people posting things that they're doing, achievements that they've have, like
So they're not as pretty or as good as somebody else?
Yeah. So what's happened? We've been comparing ourselves to people for millennia, but social media has dramatically accelerated the pace of comparison, and that culture of comparison it might be one thing for us as an adult to deal with that, but for young people, especially think about 12, 13, 14-year-olds. They're at a very sensitive time of development where their brain is developing, their relationships are developing, and they're particularly sensitive, it turns out, to social feedback. When what they're seeing on their feed is leading them to feel that they're not pretty enough, not smart enough, not good looking enough, not popular enough, this can weigh down on a child. And it's one thing, again, for them to hear it once during the school day. It's another thing for them to hear it and see it and feel it through hundreds and sometimes thousands of posts, in a given day that they may be scrolling through. So that environment really matters to our children. And so that's why so often people say, young people, makes them feel worse about themselves. But it doesn't stop there. Young people also say a second thing to me, which is that it makes them feel worse about their friendships. Now this is a bit counterintuitive. You might think, well, if you're connected to your friends, isn't that a great thing? But again, when they see other people doing lots of fun things without them, they often feel left out. It makes them sometimes question the quality of those friendships or whether they're really as close to that person as they thought. But finally, they tell me one more thing, which is they say they can't get off of it. And that is really important. Because you might think, well, if they have insight into the fact that it's not making them feel good, why don't they just stop using it? Well, a lot of these platforms have been designed by some of the most talented program developers in the world to maximize the amount of time that kids spend on them and that, frankly, adults spend on them too. From a public health perspective, that is not actually what we want, because it's been having a bad effect on our kids. What I care about as a doctor is maximizing the quality of time that kids spend on technology, on their devices, ensuring that strengthens their relationships, strengthens their sense of self. And right now, the question I think parents legitimately ask is, where's the data that these platforms are safe for my kids?